council that are not, on items that are not on tonight's agenda. Yes? Go ahead.
Not him again. My name is Sidney Brown, S-I-D-N-E-Y, Brown, 2301 10th Street Northwest, number 121. I have this statement by Sidney Brown, board member of the Austin Village Co-op, concerning the possible building of a city street using a major part of the Village Co-op driveway, July 2nd, 2015. Last Thursday, July 2nd, the Village Co-op held a meeting for an update of the Fox Point and Co-op driveway situation. The feeling at the meeting was that we don't give up our driveway. I think you already know that. A couple of our villages are convinced that the City Council has already decided not to build a city road over a major part of our driveway. Too expensive, an official told them. And the councilman told one of our neighbors that the option recommended by the city engineer is no longer an option. The one included the threat of eminent domain. That would be wonderful if true. Some of us are not convinced that all this is true. Your city administrator, Craig Clark, informed me that there will be a vote on the options in October, as did Councilwoman Anderson. No mention was made by then of option number 3 in our conversations. One councilman stated that the City Council should just declare eminent domain and build the access road into Fox Point using a major part of the Co-op driveway. Just in case that option number 3 is on the ballot and that there is a chance that it is the preferred option of the City Council in gaining access to Fox Point, we have no choice but to do what we have done. We have consulted with a Minneapolis lawyer who is to be on standby in case eminent domain is voted by the Austin City Council as its solution to the development of the Fox Point addition. There has to be a more workable and less expensive solution out there somewhere. I have been asked by some of the ladies at the co-op if you would consider coming out and looking the place over. I'm not sure that any of you have been out there, but I hope sometime soon that you come out and see what we have there, including beautiful views of the wetlands and a well-kept lawn and gardens. And also we have quite a few interesting people out there. I hope you come out and meet us sometime and take a tour of the place.
Thank you.
We offer coffee at 10 o'clock every morning, Monday through Saturday, and we'll be happy to see you visit us and participate in our gathering. Thank you very much.
No decision has been made. I don't know who told you it had, but no decision's been made.
Well, these are the things that we're hearing.
No decision's been made.
Okay. Thank you.
Craig, we're going to tackle it
Yep.
in October?
Yeah, Mayor, members, we would, the grant application for the federal tax credits, we're not expected to hear back in October, so there'd be no reason for us to take any action until we know whether it's affirmation from the grants, so.
I don't think you heard that. Did you hear what he said, Mr.?
No, sorry.
We're waiting to hear back on our grant application. We won't
Yes,
hear
in
till
October.
October. Okay.
Yeah.
So we won't even discuss it till October.
Okay, thank you, and we will, stay around and attend your meetings,
Good.
and
And
we will discuss this in October. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown, we're certainly willing to come out and meet with your group at any point in time to discuss a little bit further. We just ask that you'd open it up to your entire membership.
Okay,
Thank
we'll
you.
try and do that. Thank
That'd be
you very much.
fabulous.
Okay. Anybody else that wish to address the council? Mr. Novak, you can address the council, but first, because of your history with the council, I'm going to tell you there's a few ground rules. When you speak to the council, it's a courtesy, not a privilege. Okay? It's not a right. It's not in the Constitution. And as long as the things we won't tolerate is no personal attacks. You have to stop when you're told to stop. And pointless rambling, once you start repeating and repeating stuff, that's going to be the end of it. And if you agree to that and you start abusing the privilege, we're going to ask you to stop. And if you do that, we're just not going to have you speaking anymore. Can you agree to that?
Can I have something to say first?
First you either agree or disagree.
Well, if I disagree, you're going to shut me down.
Right.
Yeah, well, of course, you know.
course.
Of
So
course
you
I'll
agree to
have,
that?
you got my hands tied, yeah. Of
do.
course I'll have to agree to it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and I also would like to address the council. I'd like to have 5 minutes. I was told by people in Austin, by phone and by mouth, that you have the control of how many minutes we can talk at the city
It's up to
council.
me.
Pardon?
Sometimes we allow 2 minutes, sometimes we go longer, sometimes we go less.
Okay, but I'm asking tonight, since we don't have that many people, I'd like to have
No,
my
you
5
just
minutes.
Make your presentation, and then as long as you're making, as long as it's something valuable to the council, you can continue.
Please start.
But we have a lot, we have a lot of business every meeting. We
Yeah,
don't let
I'm
people
not,
ramble. You're already
okay, first of all,
a minute
I
into
would
it.
like to ask, I read in the paper where there was some foreclosure property in Austin, and where the city bought it for $3, and also that the people that had some of these foreclosure places, one had talked to me and wanted to buy what the city council would pay for that, like $3, he said. And he said he was told, no, if you're going to rebuy that property, you're going to pay the full amount. Number two, I have for the pavilions. I really haven't had much time to look into it, but I was approached by this. I was not unaware, as long as I've lived in this town, of that in order to use these pavilions, you have to have money to give to the Park and Rec, I guess, to rent these pavilions. What happened to first come and first serve, and for our fireworks? Was never that the citizens in Austin I'll refrain that, but gave money so that we could have the fireworks. I was told that if there wasn't enough money put together, we wouldn't have any fireworks, or if it wasn't enough money, as long as we had what money we had, that's the amount of fireworks that we would get. And also that I would like to know, and a few others, I noticed, I looked around here tonight, my backup isn't here, which is fine. I still am going to talk, but it upsets me a little bit because, there's people that could help me out here, but they don't. And that's what and how much, say like last Wednesday or last Saturday's fireworks, I would like to know, what does the fireworks usually cost if you're going to put on fireworks?
Okay, first of all, the fireworks, that's the Chamber of Commerce. They
Okay.
buy them, they put them on, they do. We don't control any of that. That
Okay.
has nothing to do with the city council.
That's fine.
Okay, so you have to
And
talk to Sandy.
pavilion?
The pavilions, that's a reservation. That's to ensure, if you want to ensure that you get the pavilion, we require a reservation fee. And that reserves your right to have that. You could go, if nobody's reserved it, you could show up that day and use it for no charge. But if you want to guarantee that you have that pavilion on that given day at that time, you have to go to the Park and Rec and pay a reservation fee.
Okay, so what you're saying is if nobody had reservations for that pavilion and you come, you can have it. But if you get there and somebody comes up and says, hey, I paid for this for the day, you got to pack up and leave?
Yes.
Okay, did you have any other business?
Yes, and one more thing. I was under the impression, and correct me if I'm wrong, what are we doing and how much do we have in this rainy day fund? I was always understood that when you had fireworks or you had even type of things that we have in town, what is the rainy day fund used for? What do we use that for? I was told, and now correct me again if I'm wrong, I was told that there's $1.5 million in the rainy day fund, or it could be more.
I've never heard of a rainy day fund.
You never heard of one?
No? Do we
Okay,
have a
what-
rainy day fund, David? Kim, anybody here
Okay,
know
well-
about a rainy day fund?
I'll ask Mr., what fund do we call it then, David?
You should ask Mr. Danker, he can explain that very well.
Okay, Mr. Danker, I would ask you, please.
City of Austin's fund balance is roughly 46% of their annual expenditures, which is within the state auditor's guidelines of 35 to 50%, and also within the auditor's guidelines of 40 to 50%. In essence, you get your tax check in June or July. You get your state aid in July and December. So for those first 6 months, you have very little income coming in, which is why you need undesignated, they call it fund balance in the general fund, to help cash flow you through. At the end of 2014, I believe our number was like 47.8% of general fund expenditures.
So it's not a rainy day fund, it's just money that it's day-to-day money that we have. It's, it's not, it's like money in the bank for us.
Okay, then, Mr. Danker, I would ask you, could you tell me then how much right now we do have in the, I'll call it whatever you want, but I'll
Fund
call
balance.
it rainy day fund.
Probably have in the range of $6 to $6.5 million.
6 to $6.5 million.
But again, you have to understand, we spend $14, $15 million a year in the general fund, and you have no cash or very little cash coming in the first 6 months. So when you get your state aid check at year end, you have to use that as part of your $1 million of fund balance to pay bills for the first 6 months till you get your next check.
Okay, then I have one more, if you please.
Okay?
When can we expect to have our flower baskets put on the east side? I noticed, I was approached by this too from the citizens, and I'll say it this way. I'm ashamed to say that I don't have anybody here, but me all the time, and I get a little sick of it, but it does do me good to come and address the council. And to answer your question, repeating myself, I'm 75 years old, so I guess, I kind of would like to, kind of overlook that when I'm talking, if I do repeat myself. But they were asked, the baskets that we have with flowers, it goes up to, and I know this is true, it goes up to the bridge, and then it stops here by the lot here. Can we expect to have flowers like, they're beautiful flowers.
You'd have to talk to Bonnie. She's the one in charge. The city's not in charge of that. We make contribution to it, but we
Okay.
don't actually run that.
Okay, and Mayor, that's all I need to know. Who do I go to? And that's why I'm here, and that's why I come to the city council,
Well, if you
to
talk
say
to-
what I'm just want to say, and to find out from the mayor or from our alderman, or, who do I go to? I guess maybe I go to Judy. But I thank you for your, and I have one more thing I
No,
would
you
like.
said you had one more thing, two things.
Well, this you'll enjoy.
Okay.
This is going to be an enjoyment for you and for the council. I very seldom do this and stuff, but I will apologize for my conduct, I don't do that very often. In fact, I really, by rights, I hate to do it, but I see that you guys had it coming and stuff, and yeah, I kind of unloaded. And I'd like to tell each and every one of you to accept my apology.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Novak, you got 8 minutes. But you made sense. Everything you said was valid, and, we'll listen to you as long as you have valid concerns.
Okay, I'll let my coffee people know that.
But the only thing is, I would ask you if you can possibly call up our different people and take care of some of them before council meetings. We have some council meetings where there's 50, 60 people out in the audience, and 8 minutes is a long time to take up when most of these things could have been taken care of.
Okay, Judy.
Okay? Yep. All right. Is there anybody else that wishes to address the council on items that are not on tonight's agenda? If there's nobody else, then we will move to the consent agenda. Item number 5, we need a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second by who?
Second.
Jeremy?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Under bids and awards, number 6 is a resolution receiving bids for airport tank removal. Mr. Lang.
Earlier this summer, a sinkhole developed
in the right-of-way or in the front of the airport near the entrance to our administration building. And after some further investigation, we found that there was a tank in that location. So a previous tank had been buried there long ago, not knowing exactly the history of it. We're now responsible to remove that tank and backfill the hole. So we have solicited bids through contractors that are certified by the MPCA, and those are all listed on your handout. We only received one proposal back from those 5 solicited bids, with S&L Contracting, Inc. soliciting a price of $6,000, or submitting a price of $6,250. That is below our estimate, and we would recommend awarding the contract for the tank removal to S&L Contracting, Inc. with funds to come from the general fund contingency.
Council, any questions or comments? If not, I need a resolution for item number 6.
So move the resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember Austin.
Aye.
Jordahl.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Carolyn. Enright.
Aye.
King.
Aye.
Councilmember Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. Under petitions and requests, number 7 is a resolution approving a satisfactory evaluation for Craig Clark and raise effective June 8, 2015. Council, we did this at our last work session. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
So
If
moved.
not, we need a resolution. Steve?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember Austin.
Aye.
Jordahl.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Carolyn.
Aye.
Aye.
Enright. King.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. Number 8 is a resolution accepting donations to the city. We do this every meeting. Need a resolution.
So move the
Is
resolution.
there a second? Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember Austin.
Aye.
Jordahl.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Carolyn.
Aye.
Enright.
Aye.
King.
Aye.
Councilmember Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. Number 10 is a resolution approving the county board classification of forfeited tax property and declaring the city's intention to reassess unpaid assessments. And I think your name's here,
9 and 10.
9 and 10.
Yes, these two resolutions that are for 9 and 10, they are both properties that were forfeited to the state for non-payment of the real estate taxes in 2014. All of the properties had special assessments on them. There's 2 resolutions because the first resolution is for the parcels that are going to go to public sale. So we are declaring our intent to reassess those unpaid assessments. The second resolution is for the properties that the city purchased from the county that will be redeveloped. So we're not approving the public sale on those, but we're declaring our intent to get our assessments back on those parcels too. So I would request you authorize both of those resolutions.
Okay, council, do you have any questions? If not, we need a resolution for number 9.
So move the resolution.
resolution.
Second.
Mr. Dankert.
Austin.
Aye.
Jordahl.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Carolyn.
Aye.
Enright.
Aye.
King.
Aye.
Councilmember Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
We now need a resolution for 10.
So move the
Is
resolution.
there a second?
Second.
Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember Austin.
Aye.
Jordahl.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Carolyn.
Aye.
Enright.
Aye.
King.
Aye.
Councilmember Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
This reminds me that I don't believe we addressed Mr. Novak's first concern about forfeited properties. I think, Mr. Lang, could you answer? I mean, we won't do it now, but you could answer. Would that be something that you would handle? Or Holly?
I can take it.
Craig.
Craig? Mr. Novak, I'll give you Craig's card, and if you'll give him a call in the morning, he can talk to you about that.
Are you talking about Steve?
No,
Pardon?
Craig Clark.
Craig Clark.
Why don't you just do it right
Yeah,
now?
if you give him a call in the morning, he'll tell
All right,
you.
thank you.
He'll have answers for that. Okay, thank you. Number 12 is a resolution.
Nope, you skipped 11.
Number 11.
11.
11.
Fire
Okay.
station.
I was looking at 11, I don't know why I said 12. Number 10, it's really.
Everybody's awake.
Number 11 is a resolution approving construction consulting services for the fire station improvements. Chief?
Your Honor, Council, back in November, we approved Phase 1 and Phase 2 contract with Stantec. I now ask that you approve Phase 3 to take us into the construction phase of the project. They'll be helping with a pre-construction meeting and the post-construction checklist. In between, we'll be using the building department to assist us with that. Asking that you approve the contract for Phase 3 with Stantec.
Council? If there are no questions or comments, we need a resolution for item number 11.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember Austin.
Aye.
Jordan.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Carolyn.
Aye.
Enright.
Aye.
King.
Aye.
Councilmember Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. 12 is a resolution approving a change order for the fire station roof repairs. Chief?
When they pulled the sample to determine the type of insulation that we have under the roofing material, some of the fiberboard was in such poor shape it didn't even exist in that location. So that was an undiscovered item. So we need to remove the fiberboard that is existing under the good parts of the roof. That's a 1/2 inch. That cost is there $47.65. On the mezzanine end, we're looking to eliminate the smoke/skylights. One of those was broken anyway. That cost is $10.10. And reinforcement of the curbing under the makeup air unit. These are additions to our contract we have with Central Roofing. I ask that you approve the additional $63.75 for the roofing project.
Council, anything? If not, we need a resolution for item number 12.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember Austin.
Aye.
Jordan.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Carolyn.
Aye.
Enright.
Aye.
King.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. 13 is a resolution approving change orders for the North Main Street Flood Control Project. Mr. Lang.
In the fall of 2013, we awarded 2 construction contracts in the amount of $14.6 million for the North Main Flood Control Project. Since that time, we have been working diligently to build the project on North Main Street, and at this stage of the process, we are finishing up, tying up some loose ends, and part of that process will be what's in front of you tonight, an approval of some change orders that were approved at an administrative level to keep the project going. Detailing a couple of those change orders, we had the 2 separate projects, Phase 3 and then Phases 4, 5, 6, and 7. And the initial change orders on both of those projects were actually deduct change orders. There were some cost savings alternatives that were incorporated and helped to bring some cost savings to the project. And then as the remaining change orders occurred throughout the project, we never reached back above those first initial deduct change orders. So they turned out the net outcome of all the change orders on a project was a deduct of $321,000. So there's initial cost savings there just with some value engineering on the project. In addition to that, we're getting really close to finaling out the projects and finaling out all the quantities, and we have about a $660,000 underrun in quantities on the project as well. So when adding those 2 figures together, we have about $1 million of savings on the project. So what originally was awarded as a $14.6 million project is now just over $13.6 million. So it's been a very successful project, and we're just looking at tying up those loose ends now. And this would be one of the items here if council review and approve these 9 change orders for Phase 3 and 5 change orders for Phases 4 through 7.
Council? If there's nothing, we need a resolution.
So move the resolution.
Is there a second? Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember Austin.
Aye.
Jordan.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Carolyn.
Aye.
Enright.
Aye.
King.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. Number 14, and our final action tonight is 2 motions granting the Planning and Zoning Department the power to contract for the removal of junk and/or illegally stored vehicles at 809 3rd Avenue Northeast, CR Homes property. Need a resolution or a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 14B is 616 and 618 10th Drive Southeast, the Classic property. We need a motion.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're now to reports and recommendations. Let's start with Jeremy tonight.
Nothing, Your Honor.
David?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Mike?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Janet?
I attended the League of Minnesota Cities Conference last week. I think it was last week. Things are
Yeah.
getting to be a little bit of a blur. In Duluth, along with several colleagues from council. And it was a very informative conference and good ideas to put to use here. So we'll be giving you more information about that.
Thank you. Jeffrey?
Yes, I also attended that League of Minnesota Cities conference, and like Janet, found it to be very informative. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Steve?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Judy?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Craig?
Yeah, just bringing to folks' attention, we plan on doing a blog. We're trying to outreach to the community a little bit. We'll be trying that with myself to kind of recap the council meetings, and then also periodically have department heads that have special topic areas to do a brief outreach session, probably 2, 3, 5-minute session to try to do some new social media technology and that sort of thing. So like us on Facebook, and we'll talk to you then.
Okay. Tom, anything? Just Craig?
Yep. Holly has item, and then Kim.
I just have a couple of reminders for people who own residential rental property. They should make sure they get their rental registration forms in. The deadline was June 30th, but since this is the first year that we've implemented this requirement, we would be somewhat lenient. Just make sure you call us if you have any questions. Our number is 437-9950. And also, as part of the landlord registration program, we have a landlord education class, which will be held July 13th at 5:30 p.m. at the Senior Center. That's at 400 3rd Avenue Northeast. And that will be our zoning inspector, Fred Huesmuller, and one of the fire department's inspectors, Tim Hansen, will be going over minimum housing standards and fire safety and prevention, among other things.
And when is that again?
That's July 13th at 5:30 p.m.
At the...
The Senior Center, yes.
Okay, thank you, Holly.
That's all I have.
And Kim?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I just want to remind everybody that the second annual Water Festival has begun at the Nature Center. Tonight there's a program, Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Friday is Clean Water Service Day. So there are a lot of things going on out there. You should stop out and check it out.
Clean Water Service Day?
Clean Water Service Day. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And the other thing I had is I also went to the conference. It was very enlightening, as always. I also want to thank Sandy and his staff from the chamber for the great 4th of July celebration we had. I thought the fireworks were outstanding, and the weather, we really lucked out this year. I know there was a few mosquitoes, but, it was just great. So it was a lot of fun, and I think people had a lot of fun there. It was great. Okay, with that, we need a motion to adjourn till July 20th, 2015 at 5:30 in council chambers.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll take a 5-10 minute break and meet in the small conference room across the hall.